At the end of the topic, you will be able to identify natural and man-made disasters, explain the causes and consequences of earthquakes, list the seismic zones in India, discuss the precautions to be taken during an earthquake, describe a volcanic eruption and its consequences. Any negative impact that affects people or the environment is called a disaster. Overexploitation of natural resources results in floods, droughts, landslides, soil erosion, global warming, cyclones, and earthquakes. When the above-mentioned occurrences cause extensive damage, it's called a disaster. To avoid these disasters, it is necessary to use our natural resources carefully. Disasters can be categorized as natural and man-made disasters. Forces in nature cause natural disasters, while human negligence is the cause for man-made disasters. Mitigation is actions taken to lessen the impacts of hazards caused by disasters. Disasters can be categorized as natural and man-made disasters. Forces in nature cause natural disasters, while human negligence is the cause for man-made disasters. Earthquakes, volcanoes, landslides, avalanches, cyclones, floods, droughts, tornadoes are natural disasters. War, fire accidents, road accidents, shipwrecks, nuclear explosions, accidents due to electrical faults are man-made disasters. Earthquakes, causes and consequences. The trembling of the Earth's surface is called an earthquake. Causes for occurrences of earthquakes are volcanic eruptions, landslides, movement of the tectonic plates, surface fault line. Consequences of earthquakes: floods due to damage to dams, landslides, changes in the course of the rivers, fires, building collapse, tidal waves and tsunamis, breakdown of water and electricity supply, breakdown of communication and transport systems, damage to sewage lines. India's seismic zones. India is divided into 4 seismic zones. Zone 5 covering parts of Kashmir, Punjab, Western and Central Himalayas, Northeastern region, Rann of Kutch, Andaman and Nicobar Islands belong to the very high damage risk zone. Zone 4 covering Indo-Gangetic Basin, Delhi, Jammu and Bihar belongs to the high damage risk zone. Zone 3 covering the Lakshadweep Islands, parts of Gujarat and Maharashtra, southern Uttar Pradesh belongs to the moderate damage risk zone. Zone 2 covering Deccan Plateau, Tamil Nadu belongs to the low damage risk zone. Mitigation. Keeping calm during an earthquake is vital. During an earthquake, people inside a building must take shelter under a table and keep away from the windows and glass panels. The table will protect them from falling debris, and shattering glass panels might cause injury. People who are outdoors must keep away from buildings, trees, and electrical and telephone posts. Trees and posts get uprooted during an earthquake and building collapse. If driving a car, stop at a safe place away from the overbridges and tunnels. Overbridges may collapse and tunnels may cave in. People living in high-risk zones should live in houses that are earthquake-proof. Earthquake-proof houses might withstand an earthquake. During an earthquake, take the stairs and avoid lifts. Switch off the gas connection and all electrical appliances. Lifts might get stuck and electrical sparks might cause fire. Houses should be constructed in firm soil, and this will make them stronger to withstand an earthquake. Children should be educated on the dangers of an earthquake so that they are aware of what to do during an emergency in case they are by themselves. First aid must be provided to earthquake victims immediately. First aid rendered on time can save lives. Volcanic eruptions. A volcano is opening on the surface of the earth which lets hot lava, volcanic ash and gases to reach the surface from a magma chamber below the surface. When the lava pours out of the opening, it is called a volcanic eruption. Volcanic eruptions are predictable. Prior to an eruption, smoke and gas is released and tremors are felt. Consequences of volcanic eruptions: destruction of forests, floods caused by melting snow, disruption to air transportation, agricultural and economic activities due to the release of dust and gases. Benefits of volcanic eruptions. Volcanic matter is used for industrial and chemical purposes. Lava turns into rocks. These are used in laying roads. Weathered volcanic ash enhances soil fertility. Steam and hot springs from volcanics produce geothermal energy. Volcanic eruptions in Colombia and Iceland. In 1985, the Nevado del Ruiz volcano in Colombia erupted, killing 40,000 people. The city of Armero was totally obliterated. In 2010, a volcanic eruption in Iceland was so intensive that 20 European nations had to shut down their airports due to ash spills. Mitigation. Volcanic eruptions are not as dangerous as earthquakes, yet people should stay clear of these eruptions. Air travel should be avoided. Caution is necessary as volcanic eruptions can cause earthquakes. Embankments should be built as a safeguard against floods caused due to the melting of snow on the mountains. Awareness of the tilt meter is essential. A tilt meter measures the extent of a volcano. In this topic, you have learnt any negative impact that affects people or the environment is called a disaster. Disasters can be categorized as natural and man-made. The trembling of the Earth's surface is called as earthquake. India is divided into 4 seismic zones. Keeping calm during an earthquake is vital. Volcanic eruptions are predictable. Caution is necessary as volcanic eruptions can cause earthquakes. At the end of the topic, you will be able to explain the causes and consequences of tsunamis, landslides and avalanches. Give details of the ways to mitigate these natural disasters. Tsunamis. Tsunamis are giant waves caused due to earthquakes, volcanic eruptions or underwater landslides. Tsunami is a Japanese term, tsu meaning harbor and nami meaning waves. The waves rise to a height of 15 meters and more and hit the coast in a very short time. The danger of a tsunami persists for many hours after a major earthquake. The velocity of the waves crosses 320 kilometers per hour, with the speed increasing as it approaches land. 2004 Indian Ocean Tsunami. On 26 December 2004, a massive tsunami hit the Southeast Asian nations. More than 150,000 people died due to the killer waves. Many villages in the coastal regions were wiped out. It was the worst earthquake in 40 years. The destruction caused by this tsunami was very extensive. Mitigation. In the event of a tsunami warning, people living in coastal regions have to be relocated into safer regions. First aid must be given to injured people. Fishermen should abstain from venturing into the sea. Successive waves are as dangerous as the first wave, thus people should be cautious. A tsunami warning system has been established in Hyderabad. Landslides. The usually rapid downward movement of a mass of rock and earth on a mountain or hill is called a landslide. A mudslide is the downward movement of debris or mud. Heavy incessant rainfall, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, deforestation, and indiscriminate constructional activities cause landslides. The consequences of landslides are damage to agricultural fields, destruction of hillside settlements, damage to roads and railway lines, change in the direction of surface runoff. Mitigation. An alternate path for sliding earth should be provided if houses are to be built in landslide-prone areas. People living in houses in landslide-prone areas must be aware of warning signs. Alternate escape routes should be in place in the event of a landslide. People inside the house during a landslide should remain indoors. People trapped during a landslide must kneel down with their hands on the back of their neck. People trapped must be rescued and given first aid. Avalanche. A large mass of snow and ice moving down a mountainside swiftly is called avalanche. This occurs in high latitudes and altitudes. Heavy incessant snowfall, earthquakes, heavy movement of skiers and explosions can cause avalanches. When there is great accumulation of snow, an avalanche is severe. Consequences of an avalanche: destruction and blockage of roads, damage to settlements on the slopes, damage to wildlife and vegetation in the region. Mitigation. Checking avalanches is not possible. Hill resorts, mountain towns, roads and railways in areas prone to avalanches can be avoided. Restriction on the use of explosives is essential. Planting trees around houses will reduce damage and loss of life. Mode of transportation in avalanche-prone areas should be selected with caution. In this topic, you have learnt tsunamis are giant waves caused due to earthquakes. A tsunami warning system has been established in Hyderabad. The usually rapid downward movement of a mass of rock and earth on a mountain or hill is called a landslide. People trapped in a landslide must be rescued and given first aid. A large mass of snow and ice moving down a mountainside swiftly is called an avalanche. Planting trees around houses will reduce damage and loss of life. At the end of the topic, you will be able to discuss the disaster that could be caused due to cyclones, floods, droughts, and tornadoes, understand the measures that have to be taken to mitigate them, sum up the essential aspects of disaster management. Cyclones. Cyclones are very strong winds produced in the center of a low-pressure system in the ocean. As these winds are formed over the ocean, they are very intense as there are no barriers. Cyclones cause the maximum damage to the coastal regions of South India. The Coromandel Coast, coastal regions of Andhra Pradesh and Orissa are affected by cyclones every year. The coastal regions of India are among the 6 major cyclone-prone regions of the world. Cyclones are associated with torrential rains and strong winds. Consequences of cyclones: floods and water clogging, uprooted trees and building collapse, breakdown of transport system and electricity supply, destruction to crops and soil erosion, spread of disease. Mitigation: evacuation of people from coastal regions to safer area during cyclones, digging channels in areas where there is water logging. People living in old buildings must shift to safer dwellings temporarily. Valuables should be safeguarded. Piped drinking water has to be safeguarded. People have to look out for fallen electrical posts if venturing out. Fishermen should refrain from going to the sea for fishing. People should be aware of the directive broadcast by the state. It is safe to drink boiled water. Floods. Floods are a temporary inundation of overflow of water. Causes for flooding: incessant heavy rainfall, cyclones, tsunamis, dam burst, and melting snow. During northeast monsoons, floods occur in Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, and Orissa. During southwest monsoons, floods occur in Mumbai. Consequence of floods: soil erosion and silt deposition, waterlogging and destruction of crops, loss of life and property, loss of livestock, damage to the sewage system and water pollution. Mitigation: channels have to be dug out to drain water from fields and low-lying areas. Ponds and lakes have to be desilted. Embankments have to be built along rivers. Houses in low-lying areas should use sandbags so that water does not enter the house. Promotion of afforestation. Evacuation of people from low-lying areas. Orientation of students in rescue operations. Droughts. Extended dryness of weather owing to lack of rainfall is called drought. A nation is stated to be drought affected when rainfall deficiency is more than 10% for an extended period of time. Deficient rainfall results in drought. Causes for deficiency in rainfall: monsoon failure, deforestation, ecological degradation, high rate of evaporation, poor land management, overgrazing, soil erosion. Consequences of droughts: drinking water scarcity, food shortage, water shortage for livestock, malnutrition due to famine. Mitigation: structure land use through drip irrigation and crop alternation, planned storage and utilization of water, stockpile fodder in drought-prone regions, ensure sufficient drinking water, ensure sufficient food for people in drought-affected regions. Tornadoes. Fiercely swirling columns of wind is termed a tornado. Tornado winds rotate at a velocity of 64 to 509 kilometers per hour. The width of a tornado could be a few meters or a kilometer. Tornadoes are caused due to extreme low pressure and are generated over land as swift swirling wind. They are generated when hot and cold air mixes. Tornadoes cause great destruction to life and property. A severe tornado hit West Bengal and Orissa in 1998, causing great destruction. 160 people were killed and more than 2,000 people were injured. A school building crashed, killing 35 children, and 15,000 houses were destroyed, leaving 10,000 people homeless. Mitigation: people should stay indoors during a tornado. They can take shelter in storm cellar. Abstain from staying in damaged building. If outside during a tornado, take shelter and return home only after the tornado passes. Render first aid and carry out rescue operations. In general, it is necessary for people to be aware of the natural disasters to be able to mitigate them. Disaster management drills have to be conducted in schools and other establishments to lessen the damage caused by disasters. During disasters, it is essential to keep track of emergency instructions and relief measures on a battery-operated radio. In this topic, you have learnt cyclones are very strong winds produced in the center of a low-pressure system in the ocean. Floods are a temporary inundation of overflow of water. Extended dryness of weather owing to lack of rainfall is called drought. Fiercely swirling columns of wind is termed as tornado. In general, it is necessary for people to be aware of natural disasters to be able to mitigate them.